24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year.
Well, I took the photograph and they were fine then.
Oh, you got the one day?
Yeah, Richard's having trouble getting in.
I'm here in spirit. I might log out and log back in a minute there. I'm having a bit of trouble.
Okay.
Quite interesting about this. Only the host can share in this meeting, it said, and I said okay.
Well, I don't know what's happening here. I've got 20 pictures now.
Do it. Oh,
do not knock it. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the host needs to be aware that I'm having problems here. I can wave. My microphone, your video has stopped. Why has my video stopped?
Because your picture disappeared.
Well, where's it gone?
That's what you do when you turn off video.
I haven't turned it off.
You pressed on it, didn't you?
You've got video on again now.
Just stay there, Jenny. One of us will relay to Linda your voting intentions if we do that.
Thank you.
There's more than us can see you.
All right.
Okay. It's past the meeting start time. Just. So I welcome you to the meeting of the full council on the 8th of December. The first thing I have on the agenda is to go over to Kevin, who's going to brief you slightly about how to use the voting system and things on the camera.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a quick note, we tried something at the last couple of meetings which was quite helpful, which was essentially everybody will be muted unless they are speaking, and you'll need to unmute yourself in order to speak. The other thing is using the virtual hands. Jenny, I realise you're having a problem, so we'll try and keep an eye out for that. The problem is that actually Linda can't see everybody's picture or hand, so we are reliant on people being able to put the electronic hand up for the voting. So we'll be focusing on that, and likewise if you wish to speak. And I will lower all the hands after any vote, so you don't need to worry about lowering your hand again after a vote or after you've spoken. Thank you.
Yeah, they're interesting. It takes some growing.
Someone's got a TV on the background. Can they turn that off, please?
Yeah, I've got the next one. Alexa, stop. Okay. Is there anybody from the public here to attend the forum? No? Okay, we'll move straight on to the meeting then. First item that we need to do in the meeting is to have a minute's silence for John. So I'll time that, but starting now, if you could please be quiet for 1 minute. Thank you. That's the time up. So, first of all, then, apologies. Do we have any apologies? Can't see anybody. Linda, do you know if there are any apologies?
Deborah's muted.
There
I have
is-
apologies from councillors Green, Ramooni and Smith.
Right. Thank you. And do we have any interests in declarations of interests for tonight's meeting?
Councillor Jewell has a hand up, Chair.
Councillor Jewell, I didn't see it, sorry.
Right, no problem. Thank you. There's a couple of occasions when the allotments are mentioned in tonight's agenda. One is about the annual fee, another one on the budget. Just to say, I'm an allotment holder, and sorry Deborah, I meant to ask you if that meant I ought to declare an interest, so I'm declaring it in case.
Councillor Jewell, can I just say there's no decision being taken at this meeting on that. That was agreed by Strategy and Resources, and none of the councillors have to declare an interest in terms of the preset, if that's what you were asking about.
Any others? Okay. Then we move on to the minutes of the council meeting held on the 23rd of June. Are there any points that anybody wishes to raise in for those minutes? Okay, then.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Nagra was trying to speak. Councillor Nagra, you need to put your blue hand up if you wish to speak.
Thank you, Deborah. Can't see him on there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see which one your picture is.
So, Deborah, I don't know where is blue hand.
Okay. You press on participants, and when you've got that displayed on the screen, there's a blue hand to raise the hand, or a white button to raise hand.
Okay, next time I will do that. So, Deborah, I just want to ask this item 3 and item 4, it's already on Woodley Town Council website agenda, and it's already approved.
Yes.
So, is it need to approve it again?
It was amended.
Okay.
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 So they were both the first item and the second item have been amended. So we need to ask if there are any observations. Okay. So do we receive these minutes? Can I have a vote for a resolution to receive the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry, but they need to be approved, not received, because they're council
Sorry,
minutes.
approved. Right. Yeah. Thanks. Jenny? Yeah. Linda, have you got the
Okay, that's
names?
13. That's 13-4.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to approve the amended minutes.
Excuse, I think you need to see if anybody wants to vote against or abstain.
Were there any? Yeah, it's a good idea. I'm misavoiding. Was there anybody voting against? No votes against.
No, none.
Okay.
Or
Then-
abstentions?
And abstentions.
Okay,
No.
just one.
Sorry.
Just one.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Okay.
Okay, so that item's finished with. We move on to the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting of the 21st of July. Similar thing, this has been amended, so we need to take a vote for who approves it, or how many people approve it. So can I have a show of hands?
Councillor,
That's 14. that I can
Linda,
see.
did you get Councillor Forrer who was putting his actual hand
No,
up
I
instead
didn't. I
of the
can
blue
only count the
hand?
blue hand. That's 15 then.
15. Are there any votes against?
Okay, none against.
None against, right? Any abstentions? Two abstentions.
No, none. Oh, I can't see.
You've got
Councillor
Oh, yeah.
Farrell and
Okay, yeah, two
Councillor
abstentions. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, so that's approved.
thank you. Right, the minutes of the council meeting held on the 29th of September. This is new meeting, so has anybody got any questions or points to raise?
Councillor Jewell has a hand up, Chair.
Councillor Jewell.
Thank you. I'd like to raise 2 points. First one is under item 32, and that was referring to the minutes of the urgency committee. It was raised in a motion about setting up a financial monitoring subcommittee, which obviously was lost. But my concern is still there that we do need to have a regular review of the council's finances. And although they're coming to SNR committee, that's a 6-weekly cycle. And I just feel very strongly at the moment with the way the finances are that we would be better informed if we actually had some sort of review or summing up, if you like, of what the finances are, what state they're in at the end of each month. So that was one point. The other one, might as well put 2 together and then be answered. Item 37 on page 25, it says that there were some items that were unable to be completed. I'd just like confirmation that those were completed at the following meeting, please.
Sorry, Carol, I didn't hear what you said at the end there. Confirmation that they were.
That those items that couldn't be done at that meeting, whether they were carried forward to the next meeting.
This is the next meeting.
Yeah, so I'm not clear about which items weren't covered. And there was nothing said about these are brought forward because they weren't covered.
Okay, it was mayor's engagements and future agenda items.
Oh, okay, fine. I thought it was an easy answer, but I just wanted that confirmed. And then the other one was about a review, please, Mr. Chairman.
I didn't hear the last comment that you made properly, but
I was asking for a comment, an answer, a reply from you or whoever you delegate it to about having a review, a more up-to-date review of the finances provided to all members. I think Deborah.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Deborah.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a meeting of the urgency committee this month, certainly before Christmas. So those can be provided as at the end of November.
Okay.
So, Chairman, what I'm saying is to all members, not just to the urgency members. We all need to know how we're doing, how we're getting on, even if it's guesswork in some cases.
Well, I think I can't answer the question at the moment. I need to consult on with Deborah and things about the practicalities of how we do that.
Okay, if you could get back to me, that would be good. Thank you very much.
Councillor Heap has his hand up, Chair.
Sorry, I'm just going to ask the same question. We clearly need this sent out to all members, and not at the moment to the urgency committee agenda. It's left to two leaders to send it out. The officers do a very good job sending out the agendas, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't send them out to everybody from the urgency committee. And bear in mind, two members of this council don't get anything, which is a disgrace. Two members of the Labour group do not get agendas for these meetings, as I understand, and that is not acceptable. Thank you.
And Councillor Baker has his hand up, Chair.
Please, wherever you are.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really a point of order. What we're discussing here is the accuracy of the minutes. What Councillor Jewell and Councillor Heap are talking about, which are perfectly valid things. This is an inappropriate point, because we're talking about the minutes. We're not talking about things we need to do. So just building on what Deborah has said, we will be having, I'm sure, an urgency committee fairly soon, and it would be appropriate then for Councillor Jewell to raise that during the urgency committee, which will then report back to the Leisure Services Committee, to the Planning and Community Committee, to the Strategy and Resources Committee of what the urgency committee has discussed. So we really shouldn't be straying outside of the minutes of the meeting. We don't have, and correct me, Deborah, if I'm wrong, this council has never had the concept of matters arising, because it's something I wanted when the Lib Dems were in control, but it wasn't there, and it isn't there now. So that's really the point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Then can we take a vote? All those in favour? In favour of it? Is that putting a hand up, Mr. McCann? No. Right.
Councillor Cheng and Councillor Ferrer had their hands up. Linda.
Who?
Councillor Ferrer and Councillor Cheng.
All right.
Okay, that's 13-4.
Have you got all the votes for, Linda?
13-4, yes.
Okay. Who's against?
None against.
None against. Any abstentions?
3 abstentions.
3, thank you. Okay then. We now move on to the committee reports. And I asked Councillor Wicks to present the Planning and Community Committee from the 6th of October minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I offer you to ask you to receive the reports of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 6th of October, which are on pages 27 to 34 of your agenda. Thank you.
Can we, as there are no questions, can we proceed to the vote? All right, can we have a vote to receive the minutes? All those in favour?
Councillor Cheng and Councillor Ferrer has got their hands up.
Yes,
Cheng.
that's to be counted, I guess, yeah.
Okay, that's 16-4.
Okay, any votes against?
We've got 1 against.
Councillor Bragg?
Was that a vote against, Councillor Bragg?
You said no.
All right.
No, okay.
His hand had been left
And
up.
none against.
None against. Any abstentions?
Two abstentions.
Thank you. Right. Next, we go to the strategy and resources. Can I ask Councillor Baker to present the minutes of the Strategy and Resources Committee to the meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I present to you the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the Strategy and Resources Committee held on Tuesday, the 27th of October. A very light agenda, but it was all around personnel. I'm not going to say anything more than that. Thank you.
Okay. Can we vote to accept the minutes, please?
Councillor Ferrer and Cheng have got their hands up.
Thank you. Have you got those, Linda?
That's 15-4.
Okay. Right. Any votes against? No.
None.
Right. Any abstentions? Seems to be 2.
2, yeah. Okay, so those are received.
Okay, they're received, the minutes. We now move to the Planning and Community Committee of the 3rd of November. Councillor Wicks.
So, excuse me, can I present the minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 3rd of November, which is on pages 37 to page 45 of your agenda.
Councillor Chadwick has a hand up.
It's actually just to say that Councillor Nagra had his hand up just now.
Councillor Nagra, I don't sometimes see your hand because you're background is really quite dark and you're wearing dark clothes. So it's not obvious. Was there something you wanted to still say?
I just want to ask, I am pressing that blue hand on my screen, but my voting is not counting. I don't know what's going on. Should I press that, click that blue hand?
We could, as a test now, yes.
I can't see blue hand.
You see it on the participant screen.
Yeah, participant screen is there, but there is no blue hand.
Do you see the button at the bottom that says raise hand? Invite, mute me, raise hand.
Yeah, I can see that button.
Yeah, raise hand is what the blue hand. So you hit raise hand.
You've done it now.
You've got
Okay,
it.
okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, could you lower the hand now, Kevin?
Okay.
So, where did we get to?
Just presented the Planning and Community Committee meeting minutes of the 3rd of November.
Can we vote to receive those minutes, please? Those who are in favour?
Councillor Ferreira and Cheng have got the hands up.
That's 15 then.
Okay, thank you. Anybody against?
No, none against.
None against. Any abstentions?
Three abstentions.
Three. Right, thank you. So those minutes have been received. The next.
Councillor Rowland has a hand up, Chair.
Thank you. Lost you. Where are you?
I'm here in Madeira.
Thanks for moving.
I just wonder if all the votes are being counted. I think there are 20 councillors here and 3 members of staff. And do all the votes add up to 20?
They don't always add up to 20, but I don't know if everyone's voting. I'm counting the hands, and if people tell me that someone's waved a hand, but sometimes people might not vote.
Well, then they should be counted that they'd be abstaining then.
But I count the abstentions if they raise their hand to say they're abstaining. Yeah. If their votes don't add up to the right number of people, there's nothing I can do about that. If people haven't voted anyway, all I can do is add the votes that are made.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Linda. Yeah, what I'm pointing out to people is that they have to vote some way or other to be counted. Doing nothing's shouldn't be an option.
Well, unfortunately, it is an option, but we would have to talk about that in a different place to decide. We need to change standing orders or whatever it is. So. Okay, if I can, I'll move to the next item. Which item did we get to?
Sorry, leisure services.
Yeah, okay, I've just got it. Planning. It's leisure services next. So, Councillor Bragg, can you present the leisure services committee minutes to the meeting?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to present to everyone the minutes of the Leisure Services Committee held on Tuesday, the 17th of November, 2020.
Councillor Heap has his hand up, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, there are three things I was going to concern about. 22A, we're just around the corner. I did in that meeting raise the issue of drugs and ask Jack if there were signs of drug activity. I think drugs are quite an important issue, so I would like to see that on the minutes. Their response for members that weren't there was that they didn't see any drug activity, but they could certainly smell signs that drug activity had taken place. So I think the minutes should reflect the fact that I did raise the issue of drugs and there was a reply. That's the first point.
Do you want that corrected in the minutes then?
Yes, I think something should be mentioned in the minutes that a question was raised on drugs and that there were indications of drug use in Woodley.
Linda, have you got the necessary amendment?
Okay, I can add that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Shall I raise the second point now?
Yes.
It's at 22B. Yes, I was quite concerned about this. We got this letter from Jack about withdrawing from the provision of youth services. We had no officer recommendations with this. We just had the letter from Jack, and when we have something as significant as this, I think it would be appropriate to have some response from officers when we're discussing this. I'm concerned that they will, I mean, they can obviously leave a agreement that we've got if they choose to, but it is not for Jack to tell us whether or not we need youth services in Woodley. My understanding is that these services have been considered very important for maybe 20 years, and certainly indications in previous town council meetings are that they're considered very important. And I'm concerned that just from receiving this letter from Jack, there was a distinct danger that we were just going to stop this service provision, and also to suspend the tendering for at the beginning of next year for youth services. In the middle of the pandemic, this is not the time to stop providing services for youth. Now, I understand.
If I might be.
Sorry, I understand.
Cut across you, you're not discussing the minutes. You're widening the.
I'm discussing a very important issue at 22B, where we had a letter from Jack,
yes,
which was then going to be referred to the Strategy and Resources Committee. Now, due to the massive workload that they had, it wasn't then discussed. So the agreement we made here to put it forward to that committee hasn't actually taken place. Excuse me. So I'd like to know where we stand with provision for youth services and whether Jack have the resources to carry on. My understanding is that they are going to carry on, but obviously I'd like that confirmed, and also whether we're satisfied that they have the resources, because obviously they're expecting to withdraw from the agreement, whether they have the resources to carry it out. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Is there anything else?
Well, could I have an answer to that question?
No.
Chairman, this is a very important. In previous meetings, people got very upset when the discussion of youth services. This has been on for 20 years. Here we have a suggestion that we're actually just going to drop it. This needs to be discussed, and we need to know whether the provision will carry on.
Mr. Mayor,
this is
I
important
could respond
message.
to this.
Thank
I could respond to this if you wish me.
Yes, please. It would
Right.
help.
First of all, for those who weren't here, Councillor Heat's representation is the grossest misrepresentation of what went on. Jack, knowing our financial situation, knowing that because of the pandemic, they're not getting the sorts of clusters of youths out there that they usually have, and they volunteered to step out to help our financial situation. They did not have a predetermined view that they wanted to pull out, that they didn't have the resources, none of that whatsoever. But moving on to the tendering, they actually gave us their views. There is absolutely nothing wrong with an organisation that has spent 20, 30, 40 years or whatever the number is, and Councillor Owen probably could tell me precisely, of providing what they thought would be an appropriate step. They were not dictating to us, as Councillor Heap tends to suggest. They were making a very valid comment. Now, regarding the Jack service, it's a service level agreement and it is owned by the Strategy and Resources Committee. It is not owned by the Leisure Services Committee. The Jack report goes in there because that covers the youth. I am very disappointed in this gross misrepresentation of Councillor Heap. And yes, it was unfortunate that we couldn't get it at the Strategy and Resources, but there just really wasn't enough time. And if you remember the agenda, there really wasn't enough space on the agenda either. So the net result, and he asked the question, is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. They will be continuing providing the services. They will be continuing to charge us for those services. And the tendering, the work for tendering, Kevin has got it in hand, and Strategy Resources will review the suggestion that a well-organized, a well-experienced organization who has more experience with youth than probably all of us put together were making. That does not mean we won't go to tender. It means we will consider it at the Strategy and Resources Committee, not here. This is not the appropriate committee because this the Leisure Services does not own it. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for clearing that up.
Chairman, can I respond?
If you are responding to the minutes.
I'm responding to a statement by the leader of this council. I think my representation was accurate. I think
the place will be in the Strategy and Resource meeting.
It wasn't discussed in Strategy and Resources because they clearly didn't have time, and I quite accept that. So we have no position to discuss that at this town council meeting. The only possibility of discussing that is at Leisure Services, because it wasn't discussed by Strategy and Resources, and I didn't say they dictated, but I did. So I've been grossly misrepresented by
if
them.
If it was an unfinished item on Strategy and Resources, it will follow in the next minutes or the next meeting
in the new year. In the new year. Okay. Well, I'm happy that the provision is going to continue. So, shall I do the third point I was going to raise?
It's a point about the minutes, accuracy in the minutes.
It's a point about, we asked minute 23 whether we've actually had an update on the youth survey. We were hoping to have an update on that, and I'd like to ask whether we have had an update. Thank you.
Do we know whether we've had an update?
Can I just say I have spoken to Councillor Al-Sanjari about this, and the survey did go to the schools, but I think I'm right in saying this, Councillor Al-Sanjari, that schools are quite busy at the moment and you're having difficulty actually getting it to the students. Am I right in saying that?
Can I speak? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I've chased them up quite a lot. After speaking to Deborah about the possibly sort of asking other questions on the survey and amending it, we had a discussion and really just if they could just get the survey out to the students that I had submitted, just about asking them about youth provision and youth services locally. That would be great. But yeah, it just, unfortunately, all this happened literally just as the pandemic hit. So it was, yeah, nothing we can do about it, and it's just not a priority for them. And the other thing is because I guess for sanitizing as well, so kind of limiting and minimizing the students' contact with computers on site where possible, because of the, you know, they need to sanitize
You've explained quite
desktops and so
nicely
on.
what's happening. Okay, thank you. Right, can we have a vote now, please, to receive the minutes as presented?
Councillor Baker has his hand up, Chair, sorry.
Can I speak?
Yeah, I haven't seen your hand, but
very quickly. I appreciate Councillor Al-Zanjari's comments, and thank you for that. Could the rest of the council please see the contents of that survey? As far as I'm aware, there is only one other councillor, which is Councillor Doyle, who's actually seen what the questions are. The Community Youth Partnership have not seen it. No other councillor has seen it. I don't even think the town clerk has seen it. That's not a complaint. The request is, since you've put it in, and in theory, it's a Woodley Town Council survey, and I thank you for all the work you've put on it. And Councillor Doyle, I thank him for acting as a guinea pig to check it out, as he explained to us on Community Youth Partnership. But please, can we get it circulated, questions to the council, other councillors, so that we know what has been asked? Thank you.
Councillor Baker, it was actually the political manoeuvrings of the Conservative Party that ensured that I wasn't on the Youth Partnership Committee. So it was your actions that made that possible. So you can't now complain because I haven't shared something that I'm no longer on the committee. You have to take responsibility for that. That's that, and it's that was why I objected to from the very beginning. But you know, that's politics.
So the answer, sorry, Mr. Mayor. So the answer is a point blank no. You will not share that.
I'm not on the committee.
Excuse me.
I'm not on the committee.
It doesn't matter. You are a town councillor, and this survey is representative of Woodley Town Council. And therefore, you owe it to the members of this committee, all of us. Don't send it to me if you have a personal problem with me, but there are Liberal Democrats councillors here. If you sent it to them, there are a lot of other councillors who aren't on the Community Youth Partnership. Your point is totally irrelevant. You should, if it's something on behalf of Woodley Town Council, this council, every councillor has the right to see what the questions are. So you've clearly said no. Can I have that minuted? That Councillor Al-Zanjari has refused to share her questions on her survey.
You need to, there is at no point in this, you cannot put words in people's mouths, Councillor Baker. You've been doing this long enough and it's appalling. You owed it to the public to not play politics. That's what happened. I have not said I won't share it, and I have shared it with the people who've asked for it to be shared. Now, you asked for it to be presented at the Community Youth Partnership Committee, and I said to you that I'm no longer on that because of the behaviour, the disgraceful behaviour, in fact, of the Conservative councillors who block voted to stop someone who's qualified to be on there and who'd done the work to be on there. That is something that you have to take responsibility for. I have shared it with other political parties. I have been in discussion with the town clerk about it. You can't pick and choose when someone can and can't speak. I have tried to speak at the other committees that I haven't been elected on, and you refuse that. So it can't just be you pick and choose when we are allowed to speak and when we get a say. I will discuss this with the town clerk. Thank you very much. That's all that's going to be said on this.
Thank you.
Thank you for a no then.
Vote now. To receive the minutes of the Leisure Service Committee as presented. Show of hands. Those in favour? Michael, Jenny, and everybody else by the looks of it, or most of the other people. Linda, have you got them?
I've got 13 blue hands. Is anybody else waving their hand?
Jenny, Chang, and Michael Furry.
Okay, that's 15 altogether, then 4.
Okay, are there any abstentions?
Any against?
Oh, sorry, I should do that first, yeah. Are there any against?
1.
Councillor Heat, right. And any abstentions?
No, I put my hand up to abstain.
Oh, that was an abstention. Okay.
Okay, so
it wasn't.
That was none against then.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Can everybody who wants to abstain put their hand up now, please? Okay, that's 4.
4, yeah. Right. Okay. Moving on to strategy and resources. Councillor Baker to present the strategy and resources minutes, and there are 2 points, recommendations in this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I put forward the minutes of the meeting of the Strategy and Resources Committee held on Tuesday, the 24th of November. Started at 7:30 because we had such a volume of stuff to cover. Right, so I'm just looking for the first, right. The first recommendation from the Statutory Resources is on page 56, yes. Item 34. The recommendation is that the draft Treasury Management Strategy for 2021-22 as presented, that was sent out separately, be adopted. If we, Mr. Mayor, could have a vote on that now, please.
Yes, those in favour?
There were some hands raised before. I think maybe people wanted to speak.
Yeah, Councillor Doyle and Councillor Nagra had their hands up, Chair, prior to the...
Thank you. Councillor Doyle.
Thank you very much. I was rather surprised at Councillor Baker taking us off on a tangent there. I thought he was going to ask for the minutes to be accepted. Anyway, I want to take you to item 38 in the minutes on page 58.
I haven't got there yet.
It's to do with me asking about councillors' liability.
Yes.
And in there it said that, I'm just going to it, you bear with me. It says in the minutes that the town clerk agreed to circulate to all councillors full response received from NALC. And in the minutes, it actually talks about the town council as a body corporate, and therefore the financial consequences of its activities of those of the town council and not the individual council. That's fine, I don't have an issue with that. But that's not all that that letter says, that the town clerk agreed to circulate. It goes on to say quite substantially more. And in my opinion, most of what it says is complete and utter gobbledygook unless you understand the context of it. And in that letter, it refers to 2 emails sent by the town clerk to NALC. And I do think in order to make this letter mean something to somebody, to anybody, frankly, we ought to get sight of those emails. So I'm asking the town clerk if I can have copies of those 2 emails, please, so that I can make some sense of this letter. Thank you.
Of course you can, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Nagra has his hand up, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nagra. He seems to have disappeared again.
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's page 54 and item 30. It's related to a motion which was presented by Councillor McCann and Councillor Rowland. So there is only one sentence about Councillor Baker. So I just want to request to amend it because Councillor Baker called this motion rubbish and nonsense. And after that, when Councillor McCann repeated a question, he gave him warning that he will be dealt with. So I want it to be amended. Whatever someone's contribution, positive or negative, it should be described here.
Can I just say something about the minutes, Mr. Mayor? The minutes are not a verbatim report of everything that everyone said. In fact, it would be quite shocking at the moment if it was. So the committee officer takes out and actually presents information that runs up to actually any decision or gives a bit of background, but she won't be writing out what everybody said about everybody else.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Mr. Councillor Heap?
It was Councillor Nagra.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I have heard that question. That's it.
Thank you. Okay.
Councillor Heap has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor Heap?
I don't know if Councillor Baker wants to take the vote. He originally was going to take the vote on, or whether you want me to raise the issue now. It's on number 30 on page 54.
You might as well, because we've dotted all over the place. So we'll take the votes at the end.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes, it's on the motion that was raised. Obviously, there wasn't time for us to speak, and I do appreciate why. I wonder if I could just make a few quick points, my views on that. By having this as a secret so-called urgency committee, my concern is that most councillors won't feel ownership of the problem that we have got, that if they at least can watch, can attend, we all have a responsibility here to the finances of the council. So, and you won't get, you might get councillors with particular expertise that could help, but won't have the opportunity. Another concern is that because it's an urgency committee, you could raise
about the minutes.
Council Chairman, I wasn't allowed to speak on this motion. I would have thought at least can make a few points, but if you want me to be brief, the final point is I think it's utterly disgraceful that 2 members of this council do not get the agendas for the urgency committee, and have we followed the motion, which failed, we would be doing this. I see absolutely no reason whatsoever why the officers who do such a good job with all the other meetings can't send out the agendas for these urgency committee. That's the point I would like to make. 2 members of this council
that's a point you're making, but it's not related to the minutes and the accuracy of the minutes.
Most certainly is.
It's not. What it's trying to do is reopen the discussion, and that's not the purpose of this meeting.
Councillor Alison Jory has her hand up, Chair.
Where's she gone? Oh, there you are.
Can I speak?
Yes, I just can't see you, so I can't see when it's ready.
Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah, you've come back on again now.
Oh, okay. I hope you can still hear me. It's sort of on a similar point regarding to the urgency committee, and I'd like this question recorded because on page 8 of section 5B of the Woodley Town Council rules, the public's exclusion from part or all of a meeting shall be by a resolution which shall give reasons for the public's exclusion. I'd like to ask if have such resolutions passed during each urgency committee meeting, and where is this minuted in the urgency committee minutes? And can you please quote the page number and rule from the Woodley Town Council rules, which gives permission to exclude councillors who are not members of urgency committee meeting from attending its meetings. Because I attended that meeting, the urgency meeting, and I wanted to ask a question, and I wanted to speak with regards to the motion that was proposed by Councillor Rowland and seconded by Councillor McCann, I believe. And according to page 25, section 3 of Woodley Town Council rules, the Labour group is informing you, and we will be submitting our request via email to join the next meeting of urgency committee. So if you could answer those questions about the public exclusion and whether that was voted on and if it was minuted, and where in the rule books it says, the Woodley Town Council rules, that the Labour group is not allowed to join the urgency committee. Thank you.
Deborah?
Sorry, I'm just looking for it.
It's under delegated powers. It's item 8 in the standing orders, Councillor Al-Sanjari, and it specifies the people who, the positions of the councillors, chairs of committee. So the council delegates full powers to act in all cases of urgency to an urgency committee, comprising the chairman of the 3 standing committees with delegated budgetary responsibility, that's Leisure Services, Planning and Community Committee and Strategy and Resources Committee, the mayor and the leader of the council and the leader of the largest opposition party.
That answered your question, Councillor?
Thank you. I just think for the sake of the public good, it is really important that we have as wide a representation as possible. And there's no real good reason, if someone can give me a good reason, why councillors are excluded from attending that. Also, my first question about voting on the exclusion of the public from these meetings.
Well, they're not invited to the meeting. It's not an open meeting for the public.
Not an open meeting, no. Okay, can we move on from there?
Councillor McCann has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor McCann? I don't know whether he's putting his camera or trying to draw attention to himself.
Am I off mute now? Okay, clear. Okay, sorry. Is the town clerk saying that none of the information presented to the urgency committee was part 2 or didn't qualify to be part 2? Is that actually correct? Is that what you have just said?
No.
Before I move on to my second point.
No, I said that the standing orders, the council standing orders, specify which roles are members of the urgency committee.
Chairman, I never asked that. I asked, was the information discussed at this meeting part 2, yes or no? If yes,
can I just ask what meeting? Could I just ask which meeting you're talking about?
Urgency subcommittee, the 3 urgency subcommittee meetings that are under.
We're not on that item, are we, Mr. Mayor? I don't think we've come to that item yet, have we?
We've not. We're still trying to
the clerk.
Close out
sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. The last 3 speakers have all directly asked questions relating to this subject, and the town clerk has been asked, was anything discussed at this meeting that should have been part 2, has been part 2, and was the minutes actually taken, and was a vote cast part 2? It's actually a very serious question, because
Chairman,
if no vote was taken,
Chairman, can we wait until items 7, 8 and 9? Councillor McCann, can you hang on your question until we get to items 7, 8 and 9, which are the urgency committees?
Sorry, Chair, it is. I understand. I understand what the Chair is saying, but we are discussing the minutes on number 48 which we're discussing the minutes of those meetings. The fact that they will come up later is irrelevant. We're discussing the minutes. Are the minutes accurate? If the minutes are accurate, then there should have been a part 2 vote. If decisions were made out of part 2 on part 2 items, you effectively make the whole thing ultra virus, Chairman. It is illegal not to go part 2. You cannot just do this willy-nilly. Now, one of our town councillors has picked this up. I've completely missed it. So it would appear that the clerk has, so it would appear the town council, other officers, and indeed the leading group. But if this is the fact the case, that the clerk and the council have been discussing in secret things that should be part 2, were not made part 2, it could have very serious ramifications for this council and the way it is run. This is a very serious point, Chair. Thank you.
Deborah.
Mr. Mayor, could I just make a point to Councillor McCann? And that is that there is a sheet in there that is confidential, and that was discussed, but town and parish and councils don't operate under part 1 and part 2 legislation as the borough council does. It's different. It has to explain why something is confidential and the nature of the confidentiality.
My question is still the same. My question is still the same, Chair. Was a vote taken to go into part 2 like we have done for the last year and a bit that I have been on this council? It is a very simple question that should be answered either yes or no. The minute say no, is the clerk now saying yes?
No, we didn't go into confidential mode, no.
So the minutes of and the agenda for that meeting, which has been circulated, is all public information. Is that
apart
correct?
from the sheet that has confidential written across it?
Sorry, Chair, there is no confidential. Everything is open because you made it open.
No, you can still declare a document to be confidential and for members' information only.
Not after the event.
It wouldn't be after. Well, I don't think you're accurate.
We have had numerous Chairman, we have had numerous votes on this council to go into part 2. Members of the Labour Party,
you don't go into part 2.
And the Conservatives have voted to part 2 to make it confidential.
It's not part 2. It's different legislation, Councillor McCann. Different legislation for a borough council. The sheet with the information, the sheet with the financial information on was confidential to members.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor McCann has asked at least 5 times this question and he's been answered it. He is now moving into a belligerent bullying mode of the town clerk. He doesn't like the answer.
I'm asking a question.
Should please move on and get back to the minutes of the Strategy and Resources, please.
Yes, I think we should.
Absolutely disgraceful.
Can we have a vote to accept?
No. I've got two recommendations we need to vote on first,
yes.
please, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, they got left out.
I know it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I forgot about them.
So on page 56, the first recommendation, the draft Treasury Management Strategy 2021-22 as presented be adopted. For those of you who aren't on the Investments Working Party, it is almost 100% the same as last time. The only thing that changes is the target investment return and nothing else. So can we have a vote on that, please, Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Those in favour? Councillor Ferrier and
Councillor
Jenny
Chang
have voted yes.
Okay, that's 15-4.
Right. Votes against?
None.
None. All right, thank you. Any abstentions?
3, 4.
Right, thank you. 4 abstentions. Oh.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The second recommendation we need to vote is on page 58, item 41, which is the schedule of meetings for 21-22 as attached at Appendix C be approved. Could I ask you to put that to the vote, Mr. Mayor?
Schedule of, can't find the page. Okay, all those in favour?
Councillor Ferrer and Cheng have also voted for.
Yeah, thanks.
That's
All those-
16 for.
Sorry?
That's 16 voted for.
16 for, right. All those against? Nobody?
None.
Okay. Any abstentions?
2.
2, thank you. Right. That's the minutes. 2 substantial items voted for. Now we need to vote to receive the minutes as presented. So those in favour?
Mr. Chairman, I've had my hand up to speak on another item on the agenda. I thought we were going through in order. So I'm not voting for what you've just asked for. I've got a question to ask, please.
Okay.
Would you like me to lower all hands while we have the question, Chair?
Is it a question that affects this vote?
Sorry, well, once you've taken that vote, it's the end of that agenda item, isn't it? So my hand is up on a point within the agenda. So it would be, I think, better to take it before you vote.
Right, okay, we'll take it before we vote.
Okay, thank you. It's item 48. Normally we go through the agenda point by point, so it has got a bit confusing. And it's a matter of accuracy, really. In the last paragraph, there's an explanation as to why non-committee members weren't allowed to speak. I wasn't allowed to speak, so now this is my opportunity to say something in answer to what's written here. The leader of the councillors said that it's at the discretion of the chairman. I would ask if he could, so for the minutes, explain which standing order that is that talks about the discretion of the chairman. I couldn't find it. I found lots of other words, but not the discretion of the chairman. Thank you.
I'm perfectly happy to answer you, Councillor Joel. I refer you to my email that Linda sent out to every single councillor, including yourself, immediately after that that meeting. You've either misplaced it. If it's gone into your spam or whatever, please let me know and I'll send you again. It's actually our protocol. If you look at the protocol, it's quite clear, but please refer to that email I sent to you for the precise reason why you're asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Yes, I do read the standing orders quite a lot. It's sad, really, and the protocols. I'm not asking whether or not that part of it's correct. What I'm asking, if you listened, is that you've talked about the discretion of the chairman, and it's the wording of that does not appear in the standing orders. And I think if standing orders are used, we should be having the numbers of. It talks about the chairman may, and it talks about the conduct, but it doesn't talk about the discretion of the chairman. That presumably is your interpretation, and I just think it would be good policy to actually put references to standing orders when they're given, if they're given.
Clearly, Councillor Jewell, you have not read my email. Maybe it's gone into your spam. My email was very explicit. It gave you chapter and verse, and it actually quoted the words from the protocol. I don't happen to have it here with me. If you refer to the email, please have a look. It's there. It's in there. I'm not going to say any more to this. If you can't be bothered to read the email, I'm sorry. It's there.
I have read the email. Mr. Chair, maybe you would like to move on because I don't think this is going anywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Al-Sanjari has a hand up, Chair.
Thank you. So just following on from that, will a member of the public be allowed to ask whatever question they want in any of the committees or subcommittees? And for a councillor to, because every councillor is allowed to attend as an observer and to speak, but without a vote on any committee or subcommittee. So just for clarity, if a councillor was to join a meeting as a member of the public, would they get more rights to speak and ask a question than if they were there in their capacity as a councillor? Thank you.
Again, I refer you, Councillor Al-Sanjari, you would have got the email. It actually talks about the discretion of the chairman to allow anyone to speak. Historically, people have been allowed to speak. I don't recall you were at that meeting. Apologies if you were, but I spent some time right at the beginning of the meeting, and I had sent an email to all the members of the committee of the Strategy and Resources to be very brief and try and be concise and not go off the subject when they were asking questions. And the reason why I sent that email out to the Strategy and Resources committee members was to allow some time to bring in other people, other councillors, or potentially if there was a member of the public, because I did want to do that. I said that precisely in email, a personal email to Councillor Heap, saying I wanted to do that, but I did reserve the right as committee chairman, as the protocol allowed me to, that we had to make the business. And if some of the Strategy and Resources committee members spent too much time asking questions, the same questions 4 or 5 times and getting the same answer and not liking the answers, they asked the question again, that meant we could not, or I could not, bring anyone else in. I said it at the meeting. I said it halfway through the meeting when I saw what was happening. And unfortunately, at least one member of the committee decided to ignore my request and spent a lot of time, fair enough, and they're allowed to because they are a member of the committee and they have priority over everybody else, but they do spend a lot of time asking various questions, some multiple times, which meant we had no time. So the actual answer is yes, any committee chairman can allow a member of the public or a councillor to speak, even if they're not a member of that committee, but it's at the discretion of the chairman. Thank you.
I was at the meeting, and my recollection was that you specified that I can't remember which councillor it was, but they couldn't speak because they're not a member of the committee. So I was there, and I had hoped to ask a question and to speak on an issue. Okay, I think we need to review this as a council in order to democratise the council some more. It should be brought up, I think, as a future agenda item. So yeah, I'll bear that in mind for later on in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Oh. Have we had the vote yet to receive the minutes? No, it's still outstanding, right? Result. So can I ask for a vote to receive the minutes? Strategy and Resources minutes.
I thought we've already had that motion.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
It's stopped.
Okay. Michael Furrier is holding his hand up, and Jenny Cheng is. Okay.
Wait, no, hang on.
Right.
That's 16 for.
Okay. Can I have those against?
That's none.
None. Right, thank you. And any abstentions? One at least. 3 now.
3, yeah.
Right. Oh, another planning one. So, Planning and Community Committee, Councillor Wicks, to present the minutes.
So may I present to you the minutes of the meeting of the Planning and Community Committee, which was held on Tuesday, the 1st of December, and is in your agenda on pages 65 to 70. Questions? Yeah.
Are there any questions? Then we'll proceed to the vote to resolve to receive the minutes as presented. Those in favour? Right, Jenny Ting and Michael Furrier voting by hand.
That's 14 for.
Right. Any against? Oh, it's gone now. Right.
No, none against.
None against. Right. Abstentions? Anybody abstaining?
That's 3.
3. You got those, Linda?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Oops. Turn over the page. Right. Item 7, minutes of the urgency committee meeting held on the 5th of October. So can I ask Councillor Baker to present those?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I present the minutes of the urgency committee held on Monday, the 5th of October. This was very much a single item agenda, talking about this council for the very first time in its history, and for the first time compared to our neighbours Wokingham and Earley and Wokingham Borough, we would actually consult on residents how appropriate, or sorry, not how appealing, should I say, or how appropriate particular rises for the 2021-22 precept. 4 options. It's been hugely successful. The responses are being processed as we speak, and that will be another piece of information into the mix when we all start sorting out the precept. So I don't think really there's much to discuss, hopefully, on that. Interesting comment about it being secret. Well, it was sent to every single household, hardly secret. It was publicised on social media. It was publicised in newspapers. I will take any questions.
Councillor McCann has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor McCann? He's gone.
Councillor Jewell is next with her hand up, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Jewell.
Yes, thank you. Could I just ask for clarification on that consultation as when we're likely to get more information about the analysis of it, please?
Helen's provided the draft report and we're just finalising that at the moment. And the plan is to take that to an urgency committee meeting.
Okay.
Could I ask why it needs to go to urgency? Why it's, you know, could it not have gone to a full committee of some sort? Well,
I've only just had the information from Helen, who's pulled it all together into the report. Sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't make that clear. Sorry, Councillor Jewell.
Okay.
Can I also, Mr. Mayor, can I just respond also, Councillor Jewell? It is notionally owned by the urgency committee, so I think it's only right and proper that they see it first. But you're absolutely right, it needs to go on a wider distribution. But the urgency committee, I think, needs to absorb it first, just because they own it. Thank you.
Well, if the agenda goes out to everybody, then they will know as much as we do, so that will be useful. Thank you.
All right.
Councillor McCann has his hand up, Chair.
Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. That was my fault. I pushed the wrong buttons. But there we go. I've been pushing the wrong buttons for years, I think. Anyway, what I would like to ask, was anything confidential discussed or presented at this meeting? And if it was the public excluded from it, irrespective if they were present or not?
Nothing like asking the same question again in a different way, isn't it, Councillor McCann? Like a dog with a bone. The answer is no. I can't remember anything. I'm just looking at Deborah. I don't think there was anything confidential discussed there at the time.
No, because it was simply about the consultation.
Okay.
Which every household received.
Right.
Councillor Nagra has his hand up, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Nagra, where are you?
I'm here. Yeah, it's
page.
Yeah, it's page 72, and in that survey for council tax rise, there are 4 options. First one is a 43p increase would raise an additional amount, this. And then on same page, it says, in responding to a question, the chairman responded that if this level was not appropriate, then the precept charge would have to be higher. Suppose if majority of residents, they support 43p increase, then according to this answer, that result will not be accepted. Is it democracy?
Sorry?
I was trying to find where I allegedly said, I'm not saying I didn't say it, that it might need to be higher, because I can't see it there. Oh, I've got it. Yeah, if this is a 43p weekly increase, possibly leading for, so I said if that's not appropriate, then the precept charge would have to be higher. Absolutely. This was a consultation to see how residents would feel on those 4 different raises on the precept. And the cheapest one, the lowest one, was the 43p. But until we've done all the figures and discussed them all, we don't know what it will be proposed in February. But the lowest level, if it doesn't cover the costs, then inevitably that means redundancies. I think everybody understands that, and I don't think anybody wants redundancies. I'm sure you don't, Councillor Nagra. And you bring in democracy. Be careful what you wish for, because what you're suggesting, I think...
No, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm not suggesting anything.
Right, I apologize.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just saying, obviously, some homework was done when these 4 options were given. Everything was considered, and then it could be 25p, it could be 71p, first option. So according to this survey, which was distributed in entire Woodley by Woodley Town Council, there is option number 1, 43p. And then in that, I'm not disputing, I'm not saying that this will be enough or not, or this or that. I'm saying, just saying why this option was given when we are not ready to accept it.
This was not a vote for saying what level of precept increase do you want, and therefore that's what it's going to be. That was not what this was all about. It was all about, how much do you think you can afford and we gave them 3 options. That does not mean any one of those options.
Four options, not
4 options, sorry. It does not mean that if, for argument's sake, 50% came in and said option D, the biggest, which I think is a 50% increase, that does not mean option D is what the ruling administration, the Conservative group, would recommend. What the group will recommend is what is the minimum to maintain existing services, and this gives us a scope, a range of how much we could increase. Ideally, and I can tell you from our track record, we want to drive the costs, drive the precept down. You've only got to look at our record, and when you were a Conservative councillor, you saw that record, right? And the record is that currently the council tax precept is lower than, I think, 2017-18. That's off the top of my head, but it is actually lower. That is what Conservatives do. We want to have the lowest precept. This was purely giving us a range of what we can do. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw many records when I was with you. Anyhow, you gave your answer, but I'm not satisfied at all that when you are clear that 43p is unacceptable for you, then there is no reason, no justification to be included in that survey. Thank you.
So again, I will come back to say it's not acceptable to me is the question. The question is, you run a business, right? So you know that you have costs to provide a level of service in the business you run, okay? You then have to charge to cover your costs. You want to make a profit, obviously, because you have a family to look after, a wife, etc. So you will add in a profit. That means the precept, any increase, if it is an increase, will be tailored to cover the costs of running the facilities that we have today without redundancies. So it's not a question of what I choose or whatever. That's what it'll be. That's what we'll be talking about over the coming months. And that's what the Conservative group will be putting forward in February as a result of those deliberations. Thank you.
Yeah, it's possible you are 100% right as far as economic factor is concerned. But again, why you are giving false dreams by including this 43p option?
Can I just remind everyone that Councillor Nagra asked a question about democracy and asking the public rather than the economic factor?
That I already stated that suppose residents choose this option number 1, and then we will forget democracy and then we will start economic discussion.
Exactly.
So Jerry, I thought he did, and then I started to answer that question, and he said no. So you've now clarified. So I said, be careful what you wish for, because if you are suggesting that
no, I'm not suggesting. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm not suggesting.
I'm talking to Councillor Al-Sanjari. If the majority comes in, the big majority, to say option D, the democratic right would be to go for option D. I'm not going to do that because I know we can make savings, etc., to come in lower. That's what you do when you do prudent finance. But I'm quite happy if the Labour Party wants to use this as a democratic.
Councillor Baker, please, can you just stay on the straight and narrow, please? And there was a very simple question asked. It's not a Labour Conservative question. You keep playing politics and the public are fed up with it. Councillor Nagra asked a very legitimate, very simple question. That money was spent asking, consulting, surveying the public, and it appears that the lead councillor, someone is going to decide, despite the fact that we've spent this money asking the public about their wishes, that the survey is going to be overruled, and if it needs to be overruled, then it needs to be overruled. And it was a question about democracy. That was the question. Forget Labour Tory and Labour Conservatives. Just stick with the question, please. Thank you. doesn't need to be this personal. It was a very simple question. We surveyed the public. This was what they, if this is what they wanted, are we going to override what the public wants? And if you're saying yes, just a simple answer, yes, we will if we have to.
So,
if that's what you need to say.
Are you saying that this council should take this survey as the final precept rise and not do any other work to bring it down? Is that what you're saying? That we've done this survey, we've got a democratically response, we've got a more than a statistically significant response, which I think you would understand and others may well understand. More than that, is the Labour Party saying we should accept what the residents have said on that survey? It's a very simple answer, yes or no.
Are you saying that the Conservatives will ignore what the public want? I can throw back the same question to you. Okay. Councillor Nagra asked a simple question and requires a simple response because it was your words that were quoted. So you should be answerable to them. And you are the lead councillor. That's all. It's not a Labour Conservative thing. The public aren't interested in that. The public were consulted. I just want to know, Councillor Nagra wants to know, is the council taking the ruling body of the council, or even the council leader, as yourself, Councillor Baker, taking the position that regardless of what the survey results are, the council will do X, Y, and Z? That was a very simple question. Thank you.
I don't think there's any more to be gained by continuing this discussion. The subject will come up in February.
Councillor Swaddle has a hand up, Chair.
Can't see her.
You're muted. You're muted, Alison.
Can't see Alison.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just wondered if you could clarify that it's not the leader of the council that decides on setting the budget. It is the full council. All of the members will be voting on it, will they?
Yeah. But I'd like to leave the discussion point completely now. So
we need to receive the minutes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I'll just find my page. Right. Can we have a vote to receive the minutes of the urgency committee for the 5th of October? Those in favour? Michael and can't see Jenny, she's gone. Oh, there she is. Yeah, but both Michael and Jenny to be added.
That's 14-4.
Right. And can we have votes against? None?
None.
Abstentions? 4?
Oh, no.
5 maybe.
5.
Okay, we move on to the urgency committee minutes for the 9th of November. Councillor Baker again, could you present?
Thank you. I put before you the minutes of the urgency committee held on Monday the 9th of November 2020. The main business here was really to get an update on the income and expenditure levels. We also had previously, in a previous meeting, talked about earmarked reserves, about what could be moved and released to contribute to the losses that we're going to see. Talked about the consultation, and it also talked about the Public Works Loan Board with a view of extending the loans, which is another mechanism to try and reduce expenditure for this year. So again, I'll be ready. Just before I do that, as far as I'm aware, again, Deborah, if you can confirm, we did not have anything fundamentally confidential, so you don't need to ask your question, Councillor McCann. So,
Councillor Doyle has his hand up, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Doyle, he's gone somewhere else now.
No, I'm here, don't worry.
No, you keep hopping around my screen. So
I just want to make a point that every time the little blue hands go up, Councillor Forrer is counted as a vote for when there is neither a blue hand or his hand isn't raised. Now, you can't keep going and saying, because he's part of your group, that he's voting for your group. He's voting neither one way or the other. And I think that should be recorded as such.
the subject was started at the beginning and there were two councillors that were given dispensation.
He's not raising his hand.
He has been, Councillor Doyle, sorry.
His.
But I've seen his hand on every occasion.
Yeah. God, liar.
Excuse me, Councillor Doyle, please. Councillor Doyle, you need to withdraw that comment because otherwise you will break the code of conduct. So please, can you withdraw that comment about Councillor Bragg being a liar? It is inappropriate behaviour for a councillor.
I'll tell you what, I'll withdraw the word liar, but I will replace it with you're very much mistaken.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor McCann has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor Tom McCann.
Okay, I'm okay. Am I unmuted? Good.
Yes.
The leader of the council suggested that they discussed possible future council cuts to service at this meeting, which, as far as I'm aware, is confidential information. They discussed possible, what he just said 2 minutes ago in his report to this council, that he discussed possible cuts to service, possible end numbers that the council may have to get to, and it could result in people being made redundant. Now, I'm not much of a financial expert, but that sounds like financial confidential information being discussed in a non-confidential and public arena. Unless I'm mistaken, unless the town clerk has declared that the public be excluded and there was a record of it, no such discussion should take place. Am I correct, Chair?
Councillor McCann, you run a business. You know, under the current pandemic.
Excuse me. I'm talking to the chair. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the chair. I'm talking to the chair.
I'm chair of your bullying again, Mr. McCann. Once again.
I'm not bullying. I'm asking the chair.
You have mentioned me in your questions, right? And I have every right, both as an individual and as a leader of this urgency committee, to respond to your allegations.
Sorry to interrupt you, Keith Baker. You have not asked permission from chair. You started yourself.
Because I'm covering this agenda item.
So you can speak yourself whenever you want.
Because I'm the speaker on this agenda item. If I wasn't, then I would have to go through the chair. As I'm speaking on this agenda item, I can't go through the chair every single time, please. You know, we're now going into the realms of, anyway. So you've accused me of non-confidential. I did not mention anything that was confidential. I clearly know that when you lose a lot of money, which has gone out in the consultation survey, you have to take action. You're a businessman, Councillor McCann. You know that's what you have to do when you are not getting the income you expect. I have not said what services would be cut. I have not said what people would go. I've said nothing. I said that we would have to take action. So I'm quite happy to defend myself there. Thank you.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair. I did actually quote what the councillor had said in a public meeting back to him. If he wishes to withdraw what he has said, then I'm quite happy to accept his withdrawal, and I will accept that he's withdrawing his statement that they discussed those issues that he has said he's discussed. And I will accept his withdrawal, that he didn't discuss any of this information. He didn't discuss any services. He didn't discuss anything that was potentially financially inappropriate in a public arena. If he withdraws his statement, then I will accept what he is saying is accurate. Chair.
I did not make that statement. Full stop. Sorry. No.
I know.
Can we please move on, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Councillor Rowland has a hand up, Chair.
Councillor Rowland.
Yes, thank you, Chair. 2 points I'd like to make about the urgency committee meetings. We spent some time discussing whether they should be in part 2 or whether they're confidential. In fact, not only are they confidential to the public, they're confidential until they come to a formal meeting to all members of the council. So there's no need to exclude the public. There might be a need to exclude councillors if they were there because they're just not allowed to come. And that was the whole point of my motion to SNR. But I wanted to ask a question about the Public Works and Loan Board. Have we heard from them about our application to defer our loans? And what effect does that have on our budget? Do they also suspend interest? Or does the debt just increase and then go on for longer? Thank you.
Deborah.
The application went in 2 weeks ago, last Friday. I haven't had an acknowledgement. I've spoken to NALC about this matter, and NALC are very concerned because their liaison with the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government deciding what to do on a case-by-case basis. I actually have no idea, and neither does NALC, whether they will just push the payments on to. We've applied to suspend some of the maturity loans for 2 years, 24 months. The effect of that would be to release £88,000. So that's something that we wouldn't have to ask residents to pay. We would get it another way. But what is not understood by anybody, it sounds, who've applied for this extension of the loans, is whether we'd have to meet the same repayment date, in which case it's not an interesting proposal, or whether they would extend the payment date of the loan, which is more interesting because that is something the council could do. No, I haven't heard anything, and I plan tomorrow actually to send a follow-up email and see if I can get hold of somebody.
Oh, thank you for that, Deborah. One of the things that I'm really interested in, and this is something I do in my daily life, is talk to people about loans, is whether they actually suspend interest or whether interest still accumulates and so the debt increases.
Yeah.
Clarification on that.
I think it doesn't. I think that is waived, but it's a bit smoke and mirrors at the moment. And I will talk to NALC again if I can tomorrow as well and see if they've got any more information. I have written to the 2 MPs for Woodley and asked them for their help in establishing what the terms of the loan might be. And also, what was the other thing? Being able to apply for the leisure compensation of loss of income, because town and parishes aren't included at the moment in that. So I am actually spending quite a bit of time trying to find ways to offset any charge against residents, any big increase against residents.
I mean, it may be that we need to take an increase if they still, an increase in indebtedness if they charge interest. It may be worth it doing it. We do need to know.
Yeah, I think the crucial thing is what the date of the repayment will be. Are they going to extend it 2 years if they agreed to give us a loan holiday? And did I say it's £88,000 each full financial year? But and I did give them a date by which I needed to know, because obviously the council will be setting a budget in February, And I need to know by the beginning of January, hopefully.
But if it's anything about the other mortgage and loan holiday that came out from the government, it just wasn't clear, and it still isn't. And it's not always in best interest to stop payment. So,
Okay.
thanks, Deborah.
Councillor Nagra has his hand up, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Nagra.
Yeah, Deborah, Councillor Nada earlier asked you questions, two questions. One was related to WTC rules, page 8, section 5, and other one was page 25, section 3. And you responded, as far as I understand, you mentioned about composition of urgency committee. I don't want to waste much time, but I just want to say that Labour group is going to email you and submit a request to join next meeting of urgency committee, not as a member, as an observer. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know, Councillor Nagra.
Thank you. All right. So can we vote to receive those minutes? Those in favour? And Michael.
Are there any other hands waving?
Michael and Jenny.
Okay, that's 14-4.
Okay. Anybody against?
No, none.
No. Abstentions?
That's 5.
5 abstentions, right?
14-4, 5 abstentions.
Okay. Next we have the minutes of the urgency committee meeting on the 17th of November.
Thank you,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor. Yep, I present the minutes of the urgency committee held on the 17th of November. We talked about the loan extensions, and we talked about the draft report of the council tax precept. It's on page 90. It is confidential, but it's on page 97. So, Carol, you've already seen it. It was in the agenda at the urgency committee. We did talk about it. So your question earlier about when will you see it, for all councillors, it's here for all councillors now. The draft, not the final, the draft. I will take questions on everything except the detail of the confidential page. Also, Mr. Mayor, we are getting very close to 10 o'clock.
Yes,
It is clear that we are not going to get through the whole agenda, and there are later items that have to be voted on, I believe. Deborah, you can correct us. So I think inevitably we're going to have another meeting fairly soon to finish the agenda. So Deborah, would you like to comment on that about the agenda?
Deborah?
You're on mute.
Yeah, there are items to be done. There's the audit for the 2019-20 that the council needs to receive and adopt. And there's also an item on the capital programme that the Deputy Town Clerk would like to present to you so that we can be clear about what we're doing with that. And there's outstanding debts. So I don't know if the council is willing to extend its time in order to cover those.
I think, Mr. Mayor, I think those are towards the end of the agenda. And even if we extend it, I question if we continue in the way we've been continuing, whether we'll actually reach that. So, Mr. Mayor, you might want to put to a vote that the things that we have to, make a proposal, that the things we have to vote on, we bring forward to now and do an extension so that we get through all the items as directed by the town clerk, because she knows best which are the ones that have to be done. I'm sure I can find someone to second that proposal.
Okay.
I've got Councillor Ferreira has put his hand up to second.
Yeah.
Do we need a debate on that? Councillor Cans, over to you, Matt.
Councillor McCann?
Yeah, we're actually discussing agenda item, sorry, is it 9 now? I've lost the thread.
9.
Can we finish this one before we move on to the other one? It just seems it just seems reasonable to finish what we're on. I think we're more or less agreeing that we'll sort the agenda item later, but to do this in the middle of at the start of an agenda item specifically, I would rather we've discussed this and then moved to actually sorting out the agenda. I believe there's 3 items which are of reasonable urgency. So, with your permission, Chair, can I raise my point on agenda item page 77? You need to say yes or no, Chair.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find page 77.
We've already looked at those minutes, Councillor McCann.
Yes.
We've already received those minutes. We're on page 89.
Sorry, Chair, give me a second. I've been bounced.
Yeah, we've done that.
All right, just give me a second because I've been frantically trying to get through. Sorry, the urgency committee, sorry. 91, Chair, sorry. Yes?
Right.
Can somebody just confirm what page we're in discussions on?
Page 89. Page 89.
Okay, thank you, Chair. My apologies for getting the number wrong because I've been flicking backwards and forwards. The leader of the council and the chairman of this committee said that they discussed confidential information in an arena where the public were not excluded, irrespective if they knew about it, irrespective if they were entitled to do it. It raises my concerns that if members of this council are going to discuss at these secret meetings anything they like at any time without following due process and declaring it confidential, because I've no way of knowing what they have discussed. I have no way of knowing what they're going to discuss until weeks and weeks later. If they're going to start discussing informally confidential things, they need to follow the confidential procedure and drop into what we would normally call part 2, but the exclusion of the public. That way, members of this council will not inadvertently break any code of conduct, standing orders, or protocols. So I'm asking that this council informs the chair and everybody else who's attending these meetings that they have to follow the normal rules. And if there's confidential items up for discussion, then they are up for discussion and they're minuted as up for discussion and it's confidential. And if the things they are discussing is part 2 or confidential, then we need a record of what they were discussing in the minutes, even if it's in part 2 of the minutes. It does not seem unreasonable. It does not seem outlandish that this council follows its procedures. Chair.
Okay, Councillor McCann, I have not said we've discussed anything confidential. I assume you're referring to the precept consultation. I assume, yes or no? Is that the confidential item you're talking about? Yes or no? Yes or no? You've accused me of discussing
the leader
confidential
of the
information.
chair.
I'm trying to find
Chair.
what council, what
Chair.
information.
Yes, Chair, I don't know what you discussed, but you said at this meeting, while you were summarising what you did, that you discussed confidential items. The chair can look at the video. You said you discussed confidential items. I said you have to follow your own rules. You said you discussed these things. I don't know what you discussed. I wasn't there. I'm not allowed to be there.
Right, Councillor McCann.
You said it.
Councillor McCann, I refer you to the minutes of this agenda. Again, if you read, you will find on page 97 for councillors, not for the public, there is a confidential document. All right, so you know what was discussed because it's there. If you can't be bothered to read it, I'm sorry, but it's there. In terms of your part 2, you have asked that question 5 times from the town clerk. She's answered it. I will refer to her answer again, so that's the 6th time. So, well, I despair. You're just using up time. I'm going to withdraw my proposal to extend this meeting because clearly we're not going to get through this, and because there are items that have to be dealt with, Deborah, our town clerk, will have to organise an urgent, extraordinary full council meeting to cover it. Thank you.
Sorry, are we able to have a vote on whether we extend the meeting or not?
Yes.
To move things forward, I mean. Thank you.
There is no proposal to extend the meeting at the moment.
Councillor Bragg has his hand up, Chair. Oh, no, he hasn't. Councillor Jewell.
Mr. Chair, before we actually reach 10 o'clock and have this vote, can I recall my utter annoyance at Councillor Doyle's comment about me, and I do expect a public apology for him calling me a liar. Thank you.
Councillor Jewell has a hand up, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In view of some of the urgent business that was referred to, I would propose that we carry on and deal with those items before we take a vote on leaving this meeting, please. I think there'll be a seconder for that.
I'll second it.
I'll
second it.
Okay. How many items?
Hang on, Councillor Jewell, would you allow me to make a slight amendment to that? To the amendment being to cover only those items that have to be decided as indicated by the town clerk. If you do that, I certainly would support that if you put that caveat and we just talk about those.
Those were the ones I was referring to.
Thank you. So I will support that.
So, sorry, can I just, for clarity, so I know what I'm voting on. So this item that we're currently discussing, item 9, will continue to be finished and the meeting will be extended to ensure, so after that item 9 has finished, the meeting will continue to ensure that the urgent items are brought forward and voted on today. Is that right?
I think that's the proposal.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I propose that the question be put, in other words, we vote on item 9 and finish that one and then move on to the others. Is that acceptable? So the proposal would be to finish item 9 by just going straight to a vote, and then we will look at those 3 items that are considered urgent. Thank you.
So you're proposing we finish item 9 from page 89. Where's it gone? Oh. And then move on after that. I think that's in order. We're halfway through item 9, so it would seem appropriate to finish item 9. Can I have a vote for both things, unless you want separate votes, that we finish item 9 and then proceed to follow the clerk's lead on which things to discuss to get urgent things, only urgent things through.
I think they're two separate things, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Take them as 2 items, please, Mr. Mayor, if you can.
Okay. The second vote is, shall we finish item 9? All those in favour? Seems to be the majority. Linda, have you got the
16. I've got 16, and I don't know if anybody else has raised a hand that I can't see.
I saw Councillor Cheng. Councillor Ferreira, are you raising your hand?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got his hand up.
Okay, that's 18 for.
All right. Those against?
Can I just have a chance to lower hands, Chair, and we'll ask for that vote again.
Those against?
None.
None. Abstentions?
None.
Appears to be none. Okay. And
So, can I just clarify that was voting to finish item 9 first, but we need to vote to extend the meeting past 10 o'clock.
yes, we need to do that now because it's only
Yes.
1 minute to. So we will need to extend the meeting afterwards for half an hour or so. So can I have votes for those in favour of extending the meeting?
I've got 18 for, and has anybody else raised a hand that I can't see?
Councillor Cheng and Councillor Ferreira, are you raising your hand up? Yes, he's got his hand up as well.
Okay, that's 24.
Okay. Right, so right, where's the get back to the page? Oh yeah, here we are. Was there any further discussion needed on item 9?
Councillor McCann has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor McCann. He's still on mute. Ah.
Yeah. Sorry, Chair. I thought we'd finished that item. Sorry. I was just trying to clarify. Could the clerk give us the numbers of the items that we're going to discuss so we can prepare ourselves? It's 17, 18, just so what the numbers are for a second there, please, Chair.
Can we do that immediately after we finish the vote so that we can knock item 9 on the head?
We have voted.
We have voted on number 9, on item
have
9.
we?
Yes, you have. And you've also voted to extend the meeting.
No,
beyond
we
10
haven't voted. Excuse me, we haven't voted on it. We voted to finish item 9 and then
Yes.
proceed to the others, but we haven't actually taken the vote on item 9.
That's what I thought, Linda.
We voted to do item 9 first.
Okay.
And then proceed to the others.
Oh, right, okay.
We didn't
Sorry.
actually take the vote
Sorry.
on item 9.
The outstanding bit is the vote.
Yeah.
So can I have a show of hands for the vote on item 9? Those in favour of accepting the meeting minutes as presented. Oh, something on the screen over the top.
I've got 14 blue hands. Are there any other hands that I haven't counted that are raised? That I can't see.
Councillor Cheng.
Michael.
And Councillor Ferreira, is your hand up? Yep.
Yeah, Councillor
Okay.
Ferrer, he put his hand down.
That's 16 then.
Oh, and Jenny Cheng. Yes. Okay. Right.
Was there anyone against?
Votes against accepting that, adopting the minutes,
No.
and any abstentions? 3, I think.
Yeah, 3. Okay, so that's received.
Okay, then we move on to the urgent items that follow after item 9. So, Deborah, would you?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, can I suggest that we certainly do number 10, which is the audit. We also consider, the council also consider the leave of absence for Councillor Ramooni. And I don't know if there are representatives that are going to be nominated for committee membership. So that's a question.
We do have, yes, the answer is.
Okay, and I think, well, obviously the capital programme is important and the outstanding debts. I don't know, Councillor Baker, if you want to give your leader's statement as well.
No, I will leave that this time.
Okay.
I'll just wish everybody a Merry Christmas instead.
All right. Okay, so item 10, to receive the external auditor's opinion, and this will be introduced by Deborah.
Yeah. The papers relating to the 2019-20 external audit, they're provided from pages 99 to 102. They show the annual governance statement, which is on page 99, the accounting statements, which is on page 100, and finally the certificate that the external auditor has signed on the basis of their review of the annual governance and accountability return. They are saying it's in accordance with proper practices and no other matters have come to their attention, giving them concern that relevant legislation and regulatory requirements have not been met. And as you can see that we've got PKF Littlejohn have signed the certificate. So members are asked to receive the external auditor's report. I don't know if you want to take a vote on that, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. So we have a vote to receive the external report. Those in favour of receiving it? And there's Michael Ferrer and Jenny Cheng's gone again.
Michael Ferrer and Councillor Cheng, are they voting for?
Yes, they did. They did.
Both voting for.
That's 19 for.
Okay, any votes against? No, it doesn't seem to. Any abstentions? Councillor Nagra.
Okay, that's 1. Okay. That's received.
It's received then.
And then, Mr. Mayor, you need to ask members to adopt the audited annual governance and accountability return.
So we have to adopt, or we have to
adopt
the annual return governance accountability return. Those in favour?
Councillor Cheng and Foro's got a hands up.
Thank you.
That's 18 for.
Okay. Any against?
None.
None. Right. Are there any abstentions?
None.
Right.
And the final item is just to note that the notice of conclusion of audit was displayed on notice boards and is still on the council's website.
Okay, so please note that.
Uh-oh. I think I froze then, I'm sorry.
Right, we're back to normal now. So we move on to the request for leave of absence now. Councillor Ramuni has requested leave of absence for 6 months due to ill health. Can I have your approval for granting leave of absence? Those in favour?
Are there any other hands that I can't see?
Yes, it was Councillor Forrer and Cheng.
Okay,
Yep,
that's 19-4. Thank you.
There are votes against.
That's 1 against.
And any abstentions?
No, no abstention.
No, thank you.
So that's agreed.
That's agreed. Leave of absence for Councillor Rooney. Are we moving on, Deborah, to deal with
Committee membership?
Yeah,
If
the membership.
there are nominations.
So, following the death of John McNaught, consider appointing a replacement on the Planning and Communities Committee. So, has anybody got nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Sartorel and thank you for stepping in the breach. Need a seconder, please?
I'd like to second that.
Right. So I'll proceed to, are there any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Is it necessary to vote on that because it's a Conservative place?
We didn't when Leisure did the community
previous
partnership.
Okay.
So we'll just note that.
Yeah.
And that was that. Community services. We've also got an appointment to leisure services in the same respect.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, Councillor Ramuni is stepping down and Councillor Kay Gilder will be resuming many years of association with the Leisure Services Committee.
Okay, that's a nomination for that. So then
Is there a seconder for that?
Is there a seconder?
Yes, I'll second that.
Yep.
Councillor Wicks. And we don't need to vote?
No, again, it's
No,
a Conservative place, so I think we could just note that.
Right. Is that all of the business we need to finish now?
No, there's the capital programme report.
Capital, consider report number FC8. First of all, the Deputy Clerk to present the item.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, in terms of background, each year the Council normally approves a programme of projects to be funded from the Capital Programme Fund. And in a normal year, that's considered around about June time. It doesn't quite run in tandem with the financial year for a few reasons. This year, obviously, has been more challenging, so it wasn't considered during that period. And it's coming to this committee because there are some changes to the proposed programme and also the allocation to the fund. So just to note, it was decided that there wouldn't be an allocation of funding to the Capital Programme Fund this year, as is normally the case, which was agreed by the Urgency Committee in light of the current financial situation. And also, to be honest, the position the Council's in to achieve some of those projects in any case. There's two appendix there. Appendix A is the status of the projects in the current capital programme, and you can see most of those are complete. Some of those which were non-urgent items, and there were some issues with. It's proposed that they be pulled out, subject to review, as non-urgent items, which need reconsidering before we might put money towards those. And the spend on in that current programme leaves a balance of £32,868 in the fund at this time, with those other projects complete. Appendix B is some proposals for the project going forward into next year, which is much more limited in scope and amounts. And what we're looking at there is one carried forward project, which was a relatively low cost one, which was reinforcement of the grass area along the memorial ground and the area by the war memorial, which is become quite battered over time. So that is still in there, proposed to carry forward. And there's one proposed additional project in there, which is for the replacement of the padlocks and keys at the allotment site with suited keys, basically that can't be copied. At the moment, we've got key profiles, which I think the locks have been there 20 plus years. There will be many hundreds of keys in circulation. And we've got two problems. One is that there are a lot of variations on keys that have been cut, which wear the locks out very quickly because they're all slightly different, and there's hundreds of them. And also, we've had a lot of comments from the Allotment Tenants Association about people who don't have plots but use the site quite regularly for walking the dog or shortcut to town or whatever. And that's always been a bit of an issue. What we were looking at there was a provision of locks with keys that only the council would be able to get cut. That's covered through the key deposit scheme that we already have in place for tenants. So the council from this fund would fund that initial key, and then subsequent keys would be purchased on a deposit by the tenant, which is the difference there. So they can't just go and get a key cut, but it would dramatically improve security at the site and for a relatively low outlay. The other items in the capital budget there in the proposal is that we retain the allocations to the funds for the Buildings and Facilities Fund and the Playground Equipment Fund, which are essentially a savings fund for future use. And the capital programme has always made an allocation to those. So they are included in this proposed programme for consideration. So yeah, there's a recommendation to approve Appendix B, but also to note Appendix A.
Okay.
Councillor Jewell has a hand up, Chair.
Where's she got this down? Councillor Jewell, I can't find you.
Oh, well, I'm here, so I'll just shout and you don't have to look for me. Just quickly, it was the two items in Appendix B. One was the memorial ground, improving the grass area, and the other one was the allotments, locks and keys, which is why I just checked on whether I could speak on that as an allotment holder. They are relatively small amounts, but we do need to be seen to be doing as much as we can. I'd just like some sort of assurance from the Deputy Town Clerk that these are worthwhile doing. I think the allotment site is because of the security risk, but I wasn't so sure about the grass on the memorial ground. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, if I can I just add, I think the more urgent of the two would certainly be the allotments key situation. That is causing quite a lot of issues at the moment that we're hearing from tenants, and for us in just having to try and replace the locks that are getting worn out by the slightly different key profiles. The grounds work on the memorial ground, in terms of urgency, I mean, it's not the pathway area, which has been like it for many years, and that's so that there's no urgency to that, except it's something that we have flagged up in our green flag programme, and for something that we would look at for some time. What we have found is obviously this year we didn't have a remembrance gathering, so that wasn't an issue. But last year we did find that the grass in that area actually takes quite a long time to recover at that time of year for people to stand on it, and ultimately they do need to stand on the grass there. Last year it was pretty in pretty poor shape. Vehicles also turn on it in a normal year, carnival vehicles coming in and things like that. So it does take a bit of a battering. So I would say it's less urgent than the allotments project, but yeah, it's one to consider. So yeah, hope that helps. Councillor McCann has his hand up, Chair.
All right, thank you. Councillor McCann.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just confirm through the clerk, are you saying that the urgency committee agreed to cut the budgets, ground reinforcements, lighting, signage, paddling pool and resurfacing? Are those the 5 items that the urgency committee agreed to cut? Is my first question.
No, the urgency.
Or is there more?
The urgency committee didn't agree to do that. What the urgency committee agreed to do was not put the £45,000 that it usually annually puts into the capital programme. So that actually has gone to boost up the council's general reserve.
Okay, so what you're saying is by removing the £45,000, these are the implications of it. Is that correct? I'm just trying to clarify because I wasn't at that urgency meeting.
If I can, sorry, I might be able to help a little.
Thank you.
The items that that are proposed there to come back out of the programme, you can see one was the lighting column issue, which the actual quote we had back was significantly more than we were originally looking at. So the project itself needs reviewing in light of the quotes that we'd received to carry that out. The paddling pool item was just resolved in a different way, which saved us that money. So it was no longer required. The resurfacing at the front of the Oakwood Centre was a similar issue in terms of the quote. We'd had an initial quote, which when explored further, it had gone way above the amount we were looking at. So it's a project that needs reviewing for inclusion in a further project for funding from elsewhere. And that's the proposal here anyway.
So can you then, so just so that I understand what the implications are of the £45,000 not being allocated, what will not be done because that money has not been allocated specifically?
Well, we don't have many projects on the proposed capital programme project for this coming year. And that's partly, as I said, if the money's not there, then we wouldn't be able to do those projects anyway. But also, we don't have a large list of capital projects for this year, given the situation we're in terms of trying to take care of our buildings. We have got some other projects which have been funded from elsewhere, from SIL money for some essential projects, but there are no projects that have been pulled because there's no funding gone in.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. So really what we're saying is that the urgency committee took some low-hanging fruit for money that was allocated that didn't really need to be allocated, especially bearing in mind the financial circumstances that the council is in. Well, it's good, get the low-hanging fruit. Absolutely, I understand that. I would normally support stuff like this because we're in a position where we really, really need to control the council's expenditure. It's just a shame you don't invite members in to support work that's being done behind closed doors. Such a shame. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I respond to Councillor McCann? Because again, he's painted a false picture. None of this data that you have in front of you has ever been in front of the urgency committee. None of it. No projects to be pulled have been there at the urgency committee. Nothing. The only thing that came to the urgency committee was a recommendation from the town clerk that we shouldn't have the 45,000 passed on. That was all. So please stop just making things up, Mr. McCann.
Okay.
Councillor Doyle has his hand up, Chair.
Councillor Doyle, can't see where you've gone to.
I'm here.
All
Hello.
right, thanks.
Hello, Dave. Right, okay, right. It's daft old Doyle again, but I see this very large number against buildings and facilities called fund allocation, £10,000 sinking fund. Now, I know we're all trying to save a few quid, and I've always had a little problem with this sinking fund thing. I've never really kind of, you know, fully understood it. But before you answer me, Kevin, I'd just like to remind you that I mentioned the rats around the pond. There's loads of them down there. You're going to have to do something about those rats. All right. I don't get a chance to talk to you very often. So we need to do something about the rats, because one day they're going to bite a kid.
I'll get down there when we're finished.
Yeah, please do. But anyway, you know, this sinking fund thing and that 10 grand, that really bothers me. I mean, please explain why we're spending 10 grand called sinking fund.
Okay, if perhaps the term it's a financial term. It's basically a budget. So it's an allocation to a budget to be spent at some point. And what happens is that proposed projects to be spent from that buildings and facilities fund then come through to strategy and resources to be approved. So it's basically just a means of building and keeping a little savings fund for investment in the buildings or essential repairs, but actually to make sure that we've got some money in case things go wrong in the buildings.
I've got it, and I appreciate that. What you're saying, there's 10 grand there, and if we need it, we ask S&R, and they say, yes, spend 2.5 grand of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we need to take the vote to approve the capital programme as set out in Appendix B. Can I have those in favour? I'll remember to put my hand up as well.
Councillor Ferrara and Cheng have got their hands up.
Thank you.
That's 15-4.
15-4, okay. Those against? Nobody?
None.
Abstentions? At least 3.
4.
4.
There's 5.
Possibly
5 there,
5
Linda,
now.
sorry.
Yeah.
5.
Councillor McCann's come in.
Yeah, I got it 5 now.
Okay,
Okay, so that's agreed.
yes. So that's the end of that item 14. Which just gives us a couple of minutes to write off the debts. A debt of £132.09, which we've not been able to recover from a previous employee, and £123.83. The proposal is, do we write those debts off?
Councillor Rowland has a hand up, Chair.
Where is she? Oh yes, there, Councillor Rowland.
Now we're talking about things that I know about. I wonder if it's worth trying the small claims court to do a county court judgment. It's not difficult, it's not expensive, and it might get you your money back. I'm very willing to help if no one knows how to do it.
We do know how to do it. I'm just not sure it's worth the time, Councillor Rowland. It's a long time ago.
How long?
I mean, we can have a.
Well, you've got 6 years, Deborah. One of them is
February 2016 is the employee one, and 15-16 was British Telecom.
Yeah, you've still got time to do it.
Good.
It only takes 5 minutes to do.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, And unfortunately, that brings us short of time.
Mr. Chairman, do you think we could possibly squeeze in item 16? Because I think every one of us is going, Councillor McCann doesn't want to provide the Friendship Alliance and support group the ability to prepare food packages for Christmas. That's fine.
Mr. Mayor, I think, yeah, it's been withdrawn because we didn't have the meeting in time for them to be sure they could come here. So they're actually going to, I think it's the Baptist Church Hall. I think it's the Baptist Church to do that work.
Well, thank you everyone for coming to the meeting, and I declare the meeting finished.
Deborah, can you give me a call, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keith, Deborah, any chance of you staying on for a couple of moments?
I'd rather do it through a phone call.
You'd rather do it through a phone call?
Yes, please, David.
Okay, will do.
Can I say Happy Christmas to everyone? Keep safe and have a rest.
Enjoy your holiday.
Same to all of you.